Hello, my name is Curry with CuRilla Games, and this is the setup and how to play video for my new solo offering, Teeny Tusslers. So, to set up, you will take your 18 cards, and your components here. This is a introductory story to get the game started. So, to begin, you will take your reference card, you will place it down to the left. You will pick either of the 6 chief cards and place it to the right of the reference card. You'll take your squad card, place it to the right of the chief card, your movement card, place it to the right of the squad card, and then on this step here, you will roll a dice. The value will tell you which of these personality cards you're going to start with, and you will overlap it on the top of the movement card so that only this column of movements shows. You'll then take your difficulty cards there. We have the 1 exclamation and the 2 exclamation, and you will place it above the reference and chief cards. You'll then sort your conflict cards. If it has 1 sword, it's easy. 2 swords is medium. 3 swords is hard. So you'll sort them so the hard's on bottom, medium's in the middle, and easy is on top. And you will then place it right there, centered. And you will then next take a red die. The value will match the pips underneath your health. You'll then take a yellow die. The value will match the pips underneath your experience. And then you will take another red die, and the pips or value will match the pips underneath your energy. Next, you'll take the 6 yellow cubes, place them next to each of the movement options over there, and you'll take your green mini meeple and your green cube, and first you will flip the top card, conflict card, over. You'll take your green cube, place it on the green star, and then you'll take your mini meeple and place it at the start of the conflict card, and we are ready to play. In Teeny Tusslers, your goal is to get this mini meeple to the end of the conflict card to defeat the conflict card and move on to your next card. And then the ultimate goal of the game is to get through the deck of conflict cards and reach the rock where you will then win the game. So to begin, we would choose a location on this branching pathway to move on to. We have a 1 on the shield here, and we have 3 on the shield there. So let's say our goal is to get to this 3 shield. We would then need to use one of our squad members, one of their movement patterns, to reach a number that matches this shield. So we would need to use one of these patterns to reach a 3. Here we could go up 1 and diagonal to that 3. So we would successfully reach that shield. We would then choose again to either move over to this 2 or down to the 5 there. Now it's important to note right here that you don't want to just waste your movements, because if you run out of movements before you reach the end of the card, your turn will end and you'll take 1 point of damage for each undefeated shield on the card in the shortest path possible. So don't waste these, ultimate point. But let's go ahead and move down for the sake of the tutorial to the 5. We would choose one of these patterns to reach a 5, and let's do this L pattern here. The personality text next to it will potentially alter what we can and can't do. And this one says that you can't begin on edge of grid. Well, we're not on the edge of grid. We are right here smack dab in the middle. A movement pattern always starts where your chief cube is, and so we could successfully go down 1, 2, 3 over to that 5, which means we can successfully move this meeple down to this shield. Now we have a spark on this shield. Anytime you see that spark, you instantly will move your goblin chief in that direction. So this cube will have to go this way. You got to be careful because that can potentially knock you into an unfavorable position. So we're there, and then here you can go forward or backwards or diagonal. It doesn't matter as long as the path is connected. However, keep in mind, again, if you use up your movements, your turn will end. So let's move up to that 2 there. And to move to that 2, I would need to use one of these. Let's use this diagonal. We're going to use the diagonal to reach this 2 here. Now, I am potentially putting myself in an unfavorable position because I'm blocking myself in here. And a yellow squad cube cannot push through or land on another squad cube so you can block yourself in. Some of them will have this POW icon here, and that one says that you can nudge another cube one space, but not all of them, so you have to be mindful of that. Your chief cube can nudge any other cube, so that's potentially beneficial, but still be mindful of it. So now we're going to go over to this 6 here. To go to that 6, I would need to land on another 6. Well, there's one right above me, so I'm going to use this pattern here, which means I can go in a straight line. Normally, you can only move the amount of orange squares that you see. However, there are a couple options that have an arrow at the end, and that is a continuous movement. And so this continuous movement isn't going to get me very far because I'm only going one space, but it's going to put me where I need to be so I can show you something else. So this meeple has successfully made it to this 6, but there's a spark there that's going to nudge my chief cube up, and that chief cube will then in turn nudge the yellow cube up a space. Well, that yellow cube is landing on the sword icon. If you look at your reference card, it says lose 1 hit point anytime chief or squad cube lands on or passes through. So at this point, we would take 1 point of damage. Obviously, if your health falls below 1, you'll lose the game, so that's not a very favorable outcome. So let's look at our chief's personality. The personality will offer abilities to him. So I can spend 1 energy to move my chief, in which case I can't do that right now, or I can spend 1 energy to ignore the sword icons. So I could spend 1 of these energies to ignore that sword icon. But I'm not going to, because if I look right here, there is a heart that I can get to replenish my health. So I'm going to go ahead and take the damage, reduce my health to 1, and call it right there. So now I'm going to move my meeple down, and moving onto that heart is a free movement. However, getting the reward of that +1 health means that I would need to exhaust 1 of these squad cubes here. Well, which one do I want to exhaust? That's the question that I need to figure out. Well, looking forward to my next move, I can go to a 2 or a 4. So I'm going to exhaust this one. I'm going to get rid of that cube there, and I'm going to reap the reward of that heart and replenish my health to a 2. And I have 1 cube left, and I am going to spin that cube to go down and over to this 4, which means that I have successfully made it over here. Now, the last move onto this last spot here is a free movement, just like it was free to move on to the other icons. And once you reach there, you will reap the benefit, which is a +1 to my experience. And the whole goal of your experience point is to get to 6. Once you get to 6, you can level up your movement. So the yellow die will start at the pips, and your goal is to get it to 6. So we've made it there, and to the end of the conflict card. We would then reset our cubes, flip the conflict card over to reveal our new grid and our new conflict card. And so we would place the mini meeple back at the beginning of the new conflict card. We would place the green cube at the green star on the new grid card, and we would replenish the yellow cubes, and we would begin our next turn. Now, there is flavor text at the bottom of each of these cards here, and there are icons on the board like the foot here. So let's say we used this L shape. 1, 2, 3 onto that foot. We would have to repeat that L shape. So 1, 2, 3. We can use the foot to our advantage to, I shouldn't have moved that green cube, I'm sorry. So L shape to the foot, and then down to this 3 here, because that foot allows us to repeat and extend further than we would have normally. That way we can keep from blocking our path. Had we have used, let's say, this icon to go down, over, back up to this personality card there, we would then roll the black die. We got a 4, and we would change our personality card. And in that way, what we can and can't do with certain movements will change. And then let's say we wanted an additional energy because we spent it up, we would automatically choose to go to this lung right here. Now you may ask, why would you even want to take some of these outer routes, which may seem more difficult? Well, it's easy. whenever you use all 6 of your squad cubes and successfully defeat the squad card, you will get a bonus experience point. So you would be able to level up your chief faster. And again, like I said earlier, you get this to 6, you will then unlock an additional set of movements, which would give you more versatility to get around this grid card. So on this one here, the L can now go, it can jump over another space. So we could go up, and then jump over that sword icon and land on this 4 without suffering a penalty. That's beneficial to us because we have an upgraded movement pattern. And in that way, you're going to work your way through the conflict cards until you reach this last card here. You would then turn it over to reveal the boss fight. And the boss fight gets a little bit more tricky, but eventually you'll get there. And all these icons mean, with the arrows there, is that if you landed on that icon, you would immediately turn that card in 90 degrees. Land on another one, you would turn it again. Or not 90, 180 degrees. And you are trying to work your way through it and back down this side so that you can successfully reach that boss there. That is Teeny Tusslers. I am Curry with CuRilla Games. Hope you enjoyed.